Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Hemingway Jones Pen Show, our little corner of the internet where we talk about fountain pens, inks, journals, and journaling, pretty much everything and anything that has to do with self expression. So, welcome. We got a really good show for you tonight. And essentially, I want to talk about four different things. I want to try to cram it all into an hour. Or less. I'm going to try to be brief. That might be a first, but we'll see how we do. So I want to talk about the trolls in the comments. I think it's always interesting. One of the criticisms of me in this channel is that we're pretentious. So I want to hit that head on. My second thing I'd like to discuss is all about the Commonwealth Pen Show, just some thoughts and just some general ideas on pen shows and why they're great and why we should all attend them. And then the third thing I'd like to talk about is some of my recent pen acquisitions and kind of what's going on in my pen life, if you will. And there's a lot of interesting things there. And I think the third thing, which I'm really excited about, pardon me, is some of the things that are coming up on this channel. There is so much interesting development, you guys. There are so many exciting things coming up, and stick around for that because some of it you're not going to believe. I get a comment from Shaq MD saying don't waste your breath on trolls, but I'll tell you what, I find inspiration in funny places, even with my critics. So it got me thinking about some things, and I think it's a topic worthy of discussing, and certainly for this, which I consider the pen show portion of my channel. And then the way I kind of view my channel now is that you get my lives once a week, and that's the pen show. We talk about pens, we talk about a topic, we talk about what's coming up on the channel, that kind of thing. Take questions, of course, always take your questions and read your comments. Then there's the Thursday video that comes out that's meant to entertain, inform, interest, beguile, astound, confuse, all this good stuff. You guys know how I edit, and they're definitely there for your entertainment. So Avec Posier says bonsoir. Bonsoir. Is that how you say it? I wish I knew French. My wife speaks fluent French. I don't speak French. I should definitely learn. But before we start, there is one thing I really want to do. This is very important, everybody. A good friend of this channel, Wolverine3660, is under the weather. He's a very good guy, a very warm-hearted, generous guy who shares quite a bit in my comment section. I'm sure you guys interacted with him. He is under the weather, worse than people, worse than I've heard in a while. Very good guy. So I just want to send thoughts out to him and, warm regards for a speedy recovery. Okay. So let's start with our first section. Okay. Our first section is the criticism that yours truly, this channel, I suppose by extension, everyone who enjoys it, is pretentious. And I think why it's important to me to address this is that I think it's one of those ways that people try to shut you down. They kind of try to diminish whatever you're trying to do and to hold you back by making you self-conscious when you're trying to do something a little different, right? So one of the things is that this is what we're all doing here is kind of a slightly different take on pens and writing and self-expression. It's a little bit more entertaining and tying in concepts where a pen, this inanimate object, is by extension everything. So we're bringing philosophy in, we're bringing movie references. You'll see some of the things I write in my reviews are quotes from films, and I usually try to relate it to the music and everything else. So it's striving to be more than it is, to be interesting, to draw in cultural relevance. You guys having trouble with the audio? Okay, let me see. How's that? Is that any better? Let me know if the audio is okay. Definitely want to get the audio right. It's definitely a bone of contention. There's a little bit of noise here too. There's a bit of white noise here, but let me see if I can do something here with the audio. The input, is that any better, guys? Is that better? And somebody let me know if the audio is better. Sorry about that, to get off track, but it's kind of okay, good. Yeah, I had to turn it up there. So fantastic. I just checked the settings. Sometimes I get knocked off. So let me know if the audio knocks out again, because I don't want you guys to miss anything. But so yeah, people will try to hold you back. They'll say you're pretentious or whatever. And it's kind of one of those things where it's not, you're almost pretentious if you use the word pretentious, because it's one of those words that don't really mean what you think it means, right? So I've actually took the first Google definition of pretentious, and I know what I think when I use it, right? So pretentious is attempting to impress by affecting greater importance, talent, and culture than is actually possessed. Okay. So you got to ask yourselves here, right? Do you guys think I'm trying to impress anyone? Or this channel is like, do you think that's our mission, to impress people? At my age, at this stage of my life, it's like one of the last things I'm trying to do is impress anyone. So it's silly, and you sort of need to know someone's motivation to call them pretentious. I knew a guy, I was in a meeting once, and a guy took all his books for his graduate program and put them right in front of the CEO's spot. So the CEO goes like, "Whose book's that?" And he was like, "Oh, those are mine from my graduate degree." And it was like, dude, what are you doing? That was kind of pretentious, right? So yeah, Miss Jackson says haters are going to hate. We just love pens. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's like you kind of have to know who you are and not let people throw you off your game. And I think the reason I want to talk about this is I think it's a way for us to kind of come together and kind of celebrate some of the ideas and the things that someone like this is intimidated by, right? So he looks at us and he's intimidated by the channel and what we do, and feels inadequate. But the way I look at it, if you're someone who takes delight in small things, something like a pen, you found one of the secrets of life. Like I was using the M200, the Pelican M200 today at work, and I was taking notes in a meeting, and the meeting was pretty, kind of a typical business meeting, not particularly contentious or exciting, just straight down the middle meeting. And I'm writing with my pen, and the sunlight is glistening off it. And I had one of those like Terrence Malick moments where everything was crystallized into this one visual of me looking at the light playing off the gold of the nib and the clip, and where it says Pelican around the cap. And it was like temporarily transcendental. Now, me saying this, someone would say that's extremely pretentious, but it's joyous. It's like I find joy in little things, in pens, in stationery, the feel of paper, that tactile feel of something. When I shop for clothes, I do it by feel. And when a textile feels soft and indulging, and has like a certain, I was going to say warp, but like, what's it called? Weave. It just feels so interesting to me. So I think that all these little things, or even something like finding a great sandwich, these are the things that you sort of live more for, and if you take joy in these little things, it opens up a bigger world. That's how I look at it. So, the other thing is like, this person would look at us, me particularly, and say that I'm trying to like, not just impress, but actually show that I have more culture than I actually have or whatever. And like, I'm not even sure how you know that, you know? Um, but if anything, I hold back because I don't want to come across as too eclectic or too um, random in my illusions when I throw things out. So it's just, I guess it rings so hollow and it shows so much of that person's insecurity that I saw it as an opportunity to just say that we should all embrace pretentiousness, because if it means that you're striving to be more cultured, more connected, more better read, seeing more films, more compassionate to other people, more enjoying beautiful fountain pens, looking at something and saying, the form and function of this is amazing. The nib on this thing is like nothing else. It's a thing unto itself. What does that mean? It connects to everything. If that's what you're doing and you try to do it, you comment. If you fall down, you strive and you fall down, I'm going to be there to pick you up. I think we are going to embrace pretentiousness and we're going to run with it in this channel. So that's how I feel about that. Let's take some comments here. Any questions I'm seeing? Judy Anderson, a big friend of the channel. Thanks for joining me this evening. Says, finding joy in the small things help you live a happy life. It really does, because you look at what goes on in the world and how things are so ephemeral. You have to really enjoy the moments, because that's what you get. You get these moments with your friends and your family and even yourself. You get these quiet moments alone with a good book or a journal and a pen, and it just is a window to everything and anything. So I agree. Alfredo Franco, another really good friend of the channel. I see a lot of names here of people I know. It's always wonderful when you guys join me. I'd like to see some new voices. There's a lot of people on tonight. You guys chime in. I'd be happy to read your comments. So Alfredo says, a sense of beauty and subtlety is not pretentious. Truly, truly. And the channel is going in a direction where if somebody finds it pretentious now, just wait until you see what's coming. There is a video, you guys, that is going up on Thursday that is so entertaining. If you forgive me for being immodest, because of course I made it, but I've watched it like 6 times. I've watched it with my wife like 3 times. I've watched it on my own. Of course, I edited it. It's a little crazy, guys. It's a little over the top, but it's so entertaining. I am so proud of it. If you liked last week's on the Mont Blanc 146 and how it was slightly disappointing, then I think you're really going to like this next one. And what it is a review of this pen, which we'll talk about more later. But I'm teasing things for the later on in this program. So Avec Poise says, I've long embraced pretentiousness. It can feel isolating because the pursuit of culture and knowledge is somewhat rare. Avec, you're right. But let me tell you, buddy, I got your back. I'm here with you. I will pick you up when you fall. I will carry you when you're tired. We are on a mission together. We're all striving to be better, to be more cultured, more interesting, better friends, better family members. If that's the direction you're going in, my friend, I am here for you. So just know that. I don't know how to say it. Sealy? So it's like Sealy DH. Okay, I'll admit, first visit to the channel, my reaction was also pretentious. But I'm old enough to know first impressions can be wrong, and I came back, and here I am. Well, it's wonderful to have you. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for sticking around. But I'll say this, guys. It might be pretentious, but it's not boring. I probably shouldn't say this. I'm going to be very careful. I looked around a little bit because I get in my comment sections a lot of references to other channels, and I don't watch other channels. I don't watch other fountain pen channels except for Goulet. I watch Goulet every week, but I skip over all the personal stuff. I just watch the pen-oriented stuff. But I watch some of the other channels, and I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm really glad I didn't watch them until now. That's all I'll say. And I'm not going to say names. I'm sure they're lovely people, and it's really bad form for me to mention it, but I was a little bored. I'll be honest. So I promise I won't bore you with anything. We all want to have a wider emotional landscape, and journaling can help that. I think that sharing your pen journey helps that. Being passionate about something like pens can help that. I think it makes you a richer, more interesting person. Alfredo Franco says, "Trust me, Hemingway, if you were pretentious and empty, I wouldn't be here." I appreciate it. You guys can call me out if I get too obnoxious, it's okay. I also have thick skin. I can take it. Nancy Layton, I feel like I'm with my people here. I will embrace pretension of that if that's who we are. Well, Nancy, it may be who we are to the outside world, but who we are together is like a band of pen enthusiasts. We happy few. So we'll stick together. So Avec says, "Thanks for hearing those words." You bet, and I mean it. So I try to mix it up in my comment section as much as possible. You know what else is funny with the trolls is they often come in and they post these things and then they delete them after I respond or you guys respond. They usually delete them, which is kind of funny. So there we go. Normal equals forgettable. Unique will be remembered. 19 SoQ says, "Yeah, thanks. And it's hard to be original, and it's hard to be original on YouTube without being a buffoon, right?" And I often talk about the watch world because I watch a lot of watch content because I like watches. That's another one of my passions. I really love watches. Really love this watch, by the way. But I'm a big watch guy. So I watch a lot of watch videos. I tend to get my knowledge about fountain pens by looking up specific things when I'm doing reviews or writing one of these videos. So I tend to go to print rather than videos. Also, I don't want to be influenced by what other people are doing, but after I watch what other people are doing, I would never be influenced by what they do. It's so different than what I do that I don't think there's a lot of like crossover. So good. But yeah, you have to be a buffoon. You don't want to be like these guys. I don't know if you've ever seen them on the other channels that are like critiquing somebody's pen collection, and then they'll attach a video and say that pen's rubbish, and that person's horrible. And in the watch world, I would never want to do that. I think that in the pen world, if you want to be unique, you have to show the passion behind these things. What I lack when I look at other channels, is passion. Now, a couple people do, and I'm not naming names, but a lot of people, they look like they're half asleep, and you want to go like, how do you feel about this pen? What does it do for you? How does it make your life better? What are you resonating with this pen? That's the bit that's important to me. I don't know why. Farah Farid is here. Hello to you. Thanks for being. It is a show. It's not a chat. It's a show. It's the Hemingway Jones Pen Show. So Matt Swanson said, "I've said it a few times before. Where could you focus on your high-end pens? You could equally highlight lower-cost pens that are just great. Your recommendation for Kaweco has been one of the best recommendations." Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. And guys, it is true. Like, I personally love pens. I love fountain pens. One of my favorites is, the Kaweco Eco, which I like better than the 580, which is more money. I also love the 700R. That thing is just transcendent and beautiful in so many ways. I need to bust it out. It hasn't been on the channel in a while. I love Kaweco's sports. I love even like my old Waterman Phileas from the old days. I love those. So it's not about price. Sometimes it is. The Montblanc Egyptomania is a thing unto itself, guys. The nib on this is unbelievable. So sometimes it goes back to that. So okay. Let me just say that there are some interesting. Yeah, I said Kaweco when I meant to. I thought I did. Thank you, Judy. So, in case you can't see the comments, I said Kaveco, I meant Twisby. Thank you. That's why Brian Goulet has Drew. They can correct each other. I don't have anyone to correct me. Well, I guess I do. I have Judy. Thank you, Judy. So the thing about pens, and one of the things I think is important is to try them before you buy them. And one of the tremendous opportunities to do that is a pen show. So just some quick thoughts on the Commonwealth Pen Show. You guys saw the video. Had some footage. I edited it into a video pretty quick, and I thought it was nice. Most of it involved my daughter, so it ended up sort of being a video about my daughter at the pen show, which was super cool and super fun. So I'm happy about that. But anyway, the pen show is a tremendous opportunity to try these kind of pens that you've always heard about or you've always seen, and you just want to get your hands on. And I was super psyched to try like the Visconti Homo sapien and some of the other ones, or Homo sapien rather. Avec Poise says, have I ever heard Howard Stern expand about his passion for fountain pens and journals? I did hear something that there were certain YouTubers that Howard Stern was into, but I forget who they were. And I hear he doesn't like Mont Blanc, but likes Visconti, I think. That's the extent of what I know. I don't generally follow celebrities. I think you guys know I'm a little anti-celebrity because I feel like they have kind of more of a voice than we do. And here on YouTube, I think it should be more about the people. But he has his own show, so no one's going to take that away from him. But it's good that he's out there promoting fountain pens, that's for sure. But I don't listen to him anymore because I don't have Sirius, and I don't see him on YouTube. So Claudia Garcia says, you're right. I started journaling as therapy, and then it developed into a passion, admiration, eager for more of them. Yeah, I think that journaling, and I could talk a long time about this, and I think you guys have heard me speak about this before, but journaling is one of the reasons that I am into pens. This right here is 20 plus years of journals. And then there's ones ready to be written in. These right here, ready to go. A couple down here. So I use journaling as self-therapy. I had severe depression, and I manage it because I don't know if you ever beat it. Because occasionally I fall into this dark vortex and I try to get out of it, and I feel this enormous gravitational pull, and you try to not feel really disconnected and really dark, like you don't want to be somewhere, and you want to just turn off for a period of time. So journaling helps me to recognize some of my triggers. For me personally, if I don't eat regularly and well, I can fall into these pits. Also, there are certain times of year I've discovered through journaling. One of them is around late June, early July, for whatever reason. Probably because I'm not a summer person. That can be one of my triggers. So anytime I feel unsafe, also as well. So part of the reason why I live my life the way I do is so I don't fall into these dark places. And that includes, for me, not having debt and having some liquid cash behind me. It makes me feel safe. And I adjust some of my wants to live a more fulfilling life. We don't have a giant house. We have the right house for us in the right place. And the extra money I would have spent on a house that's big and my friends and my family would be like so impressed by, that extra money goes towards trips and education and pens, So you make your choices, but you discover these things about yourself by journaling, by being incredibly honest in your journal. And you need to be incredibly honest with yourself and see yourself when you fall. And even now, when I fall, in my relationship with my wife, I try to get out of it quickly and apologize quickly and fix it if I do something wrong. So journaling is very important. Very, very important. Um, David Anderson, another steadfast friend of the channel. Always nice to see David in the comments. Always has something interesting to say and doesn't always agree with me too, which I really like. But always a lovely guy, very well stated in his opinions. He says this evening, some of your passion has rubbed off on me. I've started writing a journal, and to my surprise, I haven't given up yet. David, if I can do anything to help you stay motivated, please let me know. And as we talk about journals, we seem to have switched the subject to journals, which is fine. The one bit of advice I give all you guys on journals is don't be afraid to dig deep and don't be afraid to be incredibly shallow. There are days where my entry is, it's September 27th. It's a beautiful early fall day. The weather seems to have changed cooler. My daughter's very happy. Life is good. That's okay. That's okay. There's other ones where I'm saying pretentiousness is, or whatever. Or sometimes I'm pre-writing one of my scripts for a video. But other times it's very, very shallow. But the reason that shallow journal entries are important is that those are, and you may have heard me say this before, the mile markers in your life that your life is measured by. It's the day to day. You went to the farmer's market with your wife, you bought chicken, and you guys made a nice meal. That is worthy of a journal entry. It's a wonderful thing you did with your family, and it's something you'll remember 3-4 years down the road because you inscribed it. Is that a word? I'll just say you wrote it down. Here we go. Felix, hi. Came upon your channel when searching for a review of the Mont Blanc Domania, one of my favorite pens. I'm a big Mont Blanc fan. Really enjoy your channel. Thank you, Felix. I hope you're enjoying your Egyptomania. I love this thing. This has the most unique nib in a modern pen. It doesn't get enough credit for how incredible this nib is. It's almost like a Waterman 52.5 if it just had a bit of line variation, but it's a fantastic nib. Excuse me. I'm trying to keep my voice. I usually my voice is always under duress when I do these, so I'll do my best. Judy Anderson says, you seem to be able to analyze your feelings and behavior well enough to be aware of the downs. This is so important. Thanks, Judy. I appreciate that. And I think there's truth in that, but I want you guys to know that that didn't happen, out of the box. No, it didn't happen just inherent to me. That was a skill I had to develop. I think I was a bit disconnected from everyone. I think I was so depressed and dealing with so many issues. I had so many walls up and I was so defensive. I was really tough to be around. I think the Hemingway Jones of 15 years ago, you guys wouldn't recognize. It wouldn't be as, I don't know if I'd be as outgoing to do this. It's the journaling and it's my wife. I mean, my wife really changed my life for the better. And it's, being a dad, you definitely have to rise to the role of fatherhood. It's probably the most important role I'll ever play in my life. And my career's moved on too. I have a lot of responsibilities at work, but it's family and it's self-diagnosis and it's that will to change and be a better person. And journaling is one of the things I credit. You see people who are sort of snake oil salesmen and they'll say like, B12 will change your life. Well, that's nonsense. Well, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm not sure what B12 is. It's a vitamin, right? But a journal will transform your life. It will. I guarantee you. You start to see trends, narratives emerge. Use it like a personal confessional. Don't be afraid to be hard on yourself, and you'll learn so much about yourself, and you'll be able to grow as a person. Claudia Garcia. For me, sometimes those shallow entries are there just because I had the pleasure of actually writing. May not have the greatest penmanship, but I enjoy it. Claudia, great point. Sometimes it's about the writing. It's just having 20 minutes of peace and quiet, which also I'm sure lowers your blood pressure, centers you, and prepares you for our stressful weeks, right? Avec says I need to get better about allowing myself to be shallow within my journals. Yeah, give yourself a break. It's okay. It's okay to be a little frivolous, and it's okay to write down some of the trivia of your life. That's okay. And you guys maybe reach out to each other, and we could set up like a support for journaling. That would work. Sextus Pompeius is loving his 52 and a half so far. I love the 52 and a half. I have it back here. I haven't had it out in a while, but maybe I need to do something on it for the show. But Jay Hartman, I have schizoaffective disorder and journal to keep my life in order. I use paper-bound Japanese journals in a Pilot 823. Thanks to your review. Jay Hartman, that's wonderful to hear. I'm so glad that's helping you. The Pilot 823, you have excellent taste, my friend. The Pilot 823 is one of those pens where you can buy another fountain pen, but you need not ever buy another fountain pen. Once you own that, you're done. It's a fantastic pen. I have sepia ink in mine right now. It's pretty cool, really kind of brownish black, maybe a little bit of gray. It's just gorgeous. So I think you'll like that if you ever want to try it. Stargazer. Hey, Hemingway, journaling helps me also keep track of my serious health issues. There you go. It definitely does. You can track all sorts of data, not just like an Apple Watch, but in the written version. So yeah. So getting back to the Commonwealth Pen Show, I try to stay organized, you guys, but I get distracted easily, especially when you bring up a fantastic topic like journaling. But I met so many nice people, like Brian Holzer over at Esterbrook, lovely guy. Carrie was with him. Some folks from the channel were there. We just had some great conversations. Got to try a lot of pens. Was able to take a pen home with me. This is the Esterbrook oversized Esty, which is my first oversized Esty with the Esty Flex Nib. You'll be seeing this on the channel very soon. A lot of fun writing with this. It's one of the most beautiful pens. I mean, Esterbrook makes incredibly beautiful pens. So very big fan there. But just having so many vintage pens there to try, so many new pens. I saw some Montblanc Meisterstücks for like 500. Like, you definitely have an opportunity to take something good home. So oh yeah, Nancy Layton, yeah, chatted with me at the Pen Show, absolutely, and bought the Esterbrook Flex Nib, a great choice. Which pen did you get it in? I remember when you did that, but I didn't get to see which pen you got. So that's it with the pen shows. But I think you guys, I know I've mentioned it before, but unless you have any questions about the pen show, I think I'll move on to our third topic, which is some of my recent pen acquisitions, one of which I just showed you. And that is that Esterbrook in the Nouveau Bleu. The other pen that I just acquired is this. This, my friends, and I'm not going to give you too many details on what I think of this, but this is the Jinhao X159 in burgundy, which is a really nice color. So I did a quick review. Actually, it's not that quick. It actually took me a long time to edit it, probably more than anything. But I decided to post it right away. And I have a video on the Esterbrook Esty that needed a little work on the vocals. The sound mixing was a little off. So I pulled it from this Thursday to next Thursday, just so I could tweak the sound, get a little better. But instead, a brand new recently edited, over the top, probably the most entertaining video I've ever done on 10 airs this Thursday at 12. It's also the first time, you guys, that I've abandoned classical music exclusively. You know, I tend to use just classical behind my channel. I am totally beholden unto YouTube audio library and their royalty-free music. And they have some classical on there. Some of it's very nice. You hear it on my channel. Some of it is different kinds of music. And this time I went broader. I'm bringing in different music. So I think you'll notice that that's a change. It's a good change, you guys. It's incredible. I think you're going to dig it. So this Thursday, my most entertaining but slightly over the top video yet. Thursday at noon. So stay tuned for that. You get my opinion on this pen. So let me see. Let me go to your comments real quick. Salih DH says Dallas Pen Show was this past weekend. It was great. Anyone who can get to one should make the effort. My pen club sponsors it, and it worked both days, kept me from going bankrupt. Good job. Oh, you worked both days. Excellent. Excellent. Brilliant. Oh, Nancy, that's right. You got the sea glass. Sea glass is beautiful. Has everyone seen the Esterbrook sea glass? It's one of the most beautiful pens out there. It's this lovely blue and kind of light whitish blue, and it's just beautiful. Trying to keep the voice going, guys. Did I see the new cola version of the Esterbrook? I have not. I have not. Brian is holding back on me, so I need to see that. Alfredo says, yay, I'm glad you got the Jinhao. Can't wait for your opinion. This Thursday at noon, it's a really good video, you guys. I find it so entertaining. I'm sure it's very pretentious, so gear up. Maximum pretentiousness. So now I'd like to talk about some new things on the channel. One is what I just mentioned. I'm starting to now draw in more music. I'm not going to restrict myself to classical music only. And the reason is I've run out. There's only so much out there that's royalty free. And you guys are just going to hear Jim the Peds until you get sick of it. I'm just out of music. So I try to mix it up as best I could. I also looked into the subscription services where you pay for music, and they don't really have classical. It's just not popular for whatever reason, which is sad. So we have moved on to other music, but I think you'll like that. But that's not the big news. Here's some of the big news, okay? One is that I'm looking into doing the encoding software, which is where you go live through the software. Right now, I'm going live to you through my MacBook Pro with the screen slightly down to try to get me in the middle of the frame to roughly approximate what you see when I do my show, the regular videos. In the future, I'll be able to have multiple camera angles, be able to focus your comments onto the screen in different places. And here's the big thing, guys. I'll be able to have guests because I'd really like to do the lives like actual pen shows. And I have a whole list of people in the pen world and in areas that are close to the pen world that want to come on as guests. So one of them is Brian Holzer from Esterbrook. You'll see him in split screen, and we'll be able to talk, and I'll be able to interview him. He'll be able to talk to me, you know, how these things work, and we'll have a really nice conversation. So he's one of the people. Another person is Brandon from Atlas Stationers. Get him on, get the sort of retail side of the pen world and be able to ask him questions. We'll take your questions here. We'll just have this really great informational section where I have conversations with folks, interview them, hard-hitting questions, Mike Wallace style, and just learn a lot from them and have some really good guests on. So that is planned for the future. Maybe there'll be some other people that want to come on at some point, maybe some other pen channels, who knows? It'd be nice to have some friends on YouTube. So that's maybe some watch guys I could get on, but definitely we'll get guests. So that's a very important thing. So here's another thing. I do have some notes here, guys, because I don't want to miss anything. This is huge. This is huge. Okay. I am this close. This close, squishing your head close. If you're squishing your head, really close to finalizing a deal with a website, a very popular website that's really interesting, has a lot of fantastic content on it. This close. And if it gets done, what you will have is me writing articles that support the videos. So like Thursday is a review of the Jinhao X159. Simultaneously on this website will be an article where I can go into even more detail, because you'd be amazed how what I say on camera is not that much, you know? You don't want to be boring. So it's limited, but I can go into so much more in an article that is with it. Now, how that helps us is that particular site is very popular. It's very interesting. I love everybody there. So there'll be some traffic there that will follow my link and come over to here, which helps me because I'm always looking to grow, you guys. I mean, that's the name of the game on YouTube. More followers. If anybody's watching now and you haven't subscribed, please do. It helps me a lot, keeps me motivated, and I appreciate it. I really do. These guys will tell you. So that site will send traffic over here. Maybe people stick around and they subscribe. I will also have content for them where some of my folks and other folks on Google and whatnot will go to them, and they'll be able to get their numbers up and generate ad revenue for themselves. So it's a win-win for both of us. We're just very, very close to putting it together. So let's hope that works out. I think that'll be great for all of us. Okay. Thanks, guys. I see a lot of you. Sextus thinks it sounds good. John Manuel was asleep. Wake up, John. Matt likes the guest idea. Felix is psyched. Matt's into it. Alfredo's with me. JB. JB's asking a question. We'll get to that in a sec. So there's two things, okay? Two big things. The guests is cool. Having guests on, I'm so excited. I like interviewing people. If you've seen my TikTok lives, I almost always have a guest. I like to interview them. I had Good Trouble on. That was really exciting for me. I really like his content. I've had Brandon on several times. I had Salita Books on. Some really good people. We'll have more here. And then this deal with this website, I'll let you guys know. I'll put it in the community when it happens. I'll announce it to you. Here's the third thing. This is good for the channel too. I am this close to finalizing my first promotional deal. Okay. Why it's good is it's one of the most outstanding pen brands out there. So it will give me access to these incredible, historic, interesting, beautiful. Some of them have features that no other pens have. To those pens, show them to you guys, review them, and make some excellent, excellent content. So it's the first time I thought back and forth about whether or not to do anything promotional, but this is special. And part of it is I'm trying not to give stuff away. I want to tease, but I can't tell you because done. It's close, but it's not done. But let me just say, there is a historic person from World War II who did amazingly heroic deeds from World War II, and they have a pen that commemorates some of that. So if I can put this together, I would like to do a video that tells some of those stories, that uses B-roll from the times, and it's inspiring, interesting, has an historic narrative, ties into the pen, and wraps it all up into a nice, tidy, entertaining, awesome, inspiring, emotional package. That's what I want to do for you guys. I think it'll be awesome. It's going to be very ambitious for me, the most ambitious thing I've done yet, but I now have Final Cut Pro, and I can do it. Final Cut Pro, I think the last of my videos that was edited in iMovie was last week, and that was the Mont Blanc one, which did great. I was impressed with it. But now you guys are going to see a difference in transitions, in the audio, especially on Thursdays. Thursdays is the one I just edited, and then the ones after, some of them are a month old. That's kind of how I work. I bumped it out. The one that's going up Thursday should have gone up October 27th, but I wanted you guys to see it. And that's the review of the Jinhao X159. That's my latest work. So that will give you a real clear idea where this channel's going. Okay. So it's pretty exciting stuff, you guys. Felix, I'm not going to answer that, buddy. I'm sorry. Until the ink is dry, and then I'll put it up in the community section. I promise. Okay. All right. So, yes, JB said, hello, Hemingway. Have you ever lost a passion? Ever had periods where you lost your interest in pens? No, no. But it's not always my top thing. You know, there are several things I'm into, you guys. I'm not just into pens. It's not my whole personality. I'm into these things. You see this beautiful machine right here? Love typewriters. I have 15 of them. Some of them are incredible. This one right here, I'm about to do, I'm going to do a special episode on this machine. It has a very rare typeface. I think you guys will like it. And the idea behind the video is how typeface and fountain pens complement each other. So that'll come up. I might post that off cycle. So instead of posting it on a Thursday, I might post it on a Tuesday, because I think it's going to be more like bonus material, although I reserve the right to change my mind. Okay. So the other thing is all these. I read a lot. I write articles. I write for StrideWise. If you guys go to Google and you Google the Stetson Open Road review, the #1 hit is my article on StrideWise. So I write articles on menswear and different things on StrideWise. So I like to do that too, but I'm also into watches. I'm into pocket knives, and I play guitar. So, and you know, I work 50 hours a week, and I have a family and a 5-year-old. So I have a lot of interests. I travel. I do a lot of things. So, should be interesting. So JB says the tank looks great. I'm more of a Pulsar LED watch guy myself, but that watch looks great. Thank you very much. I actually love that Pulsar watch. And here's the thing, JB, I'm old enough. I remember when it first came out in the 1970s. My stepfather had one, so I thought it was really cool. But this I think is one of the deals in watch world, because this is the Cartier Must, but it's the extra large. So it has their, I think it's 1847 MC movement, which means it's the same movement out of a Cartier Santos and some of their other higher end watches in a very affordable classic design. So, and it has the, I always forget. I need my wife to help me with this one. Is it Guy Boucher? You know, the embellished face. Forgive me. I always forget that word. Claudia Garcia says, "Do I consider typewriters as a national progression of fountain pens?" Definitely a compliment. There are a few things that look as great as when you type a letter. You take a nice broad fountain pen and your name. It's perfect. It's so great. So I definitely think they complement each other. I don't own any Pulsars, JB, but I do like them. I think aren't they owned by Hamilton now, or isn't there some kind of connection with Hamilton? Pretty cool. So here's something else interesting. Do you guys read the New York Times? One of the passions of my life too is the Sunday New York Times. It's one of the greatest papers. It has incredible articles. Things are written so well in there. They just published last Sunday an article on the stuff that Hemingway left at Sloppy Joe's. So Hemingway moved out of Key West and he moved to Cuba full time, I think in the late 30s. And he left a box of stuff at Sloppy Joe's. Sloppy Joe put it in storage. When he passed away, Mary kind of took a few things out and left most of it. Well, it has since been sold, I think, to Penn State University, and they're about to post and publish much of it. It includes 4 unpublished short stories, his journals, which I didn't even know he had journals, and various other things, including his first short story he wrote when he was 10 years old is in it. Very, very interesting article. I encourage all of you. I see Alfredo Franco and Celia D. Hage have both read it. Find it, you guys. Find that article. But here's what's interesting to me, okay? So I see it, and the cover picture shows his handwriting. And I don't know if any of you guys put it together, but did you notice my signature for the channel is basically how he wrote Hemingway? Because you guys know Hemingway's not actually my name. It's my nom. I'm pretty open about that. But I write it like Hemingway did because I need a signature. And I actually like my Hemingway Jones signature better than my actual name signature. Just doesn't flow as well. There's something about that H with the line. It's so cool. He didn't do the long line, but regardless, very cool. So his handwriting is clearly with a flex nib. It's very thin and his downstrokes are huge. So I know he liked Monte Grappa pens. And I have some pictures of the pens he had when he passed away. But I'd love to know specifically which pen that was, because it had what looks like a soft, flexible nib. It's hard to tell soft or hard though, so it might just be me projecting that I hope it's a soft, flexible nib, but I want to know. I don't know if the JFK Library Collection has any kind of invoices on what it could be, or some other source. So if you guys ever see it, and I know Monte Grappa talks about, but I'm talking about the vintage pen, the exact one he must have used with that flex nib. So go look, read the article. Incredibly interesting and amazing. And check out his handwriting. For me, some of the most fun about historical documents is the handwriting. Even in old passports, old declarations, hand-signed diplomas and things, seeing how people used to write, or ledger books. Old ledger books are very cool. Very cool. Alfredo says in one photo in Africa, he seems to have a Parker 51. Cool. Yeah, this is definitely not a Parker 51. It's incredibly, it goes from an extra fine to a double broad. It's very flexy. I don't know what Monte Grappa had back in the 30s, but it's impressive. So lots of love for Hemingway out there, which is very cool. But check it out, guys, because I think it's really interesting. I'm raising my Venetian glass to each of you. I'm toasting to pretentiousness. Let's all strive to be more cultured, shall we? And be better at each other. You know, there's a lot of channels I don't like. when you make YouTubes, you're constantly self-critical. I watch my own YouTubes. I watch my early stuff and I cringe a little, not for what I say or how I say it, but for production value. Um, but you learn as you go. I I still struggle with audio. I mean, I struggled with audio coming into this. I think it's okay now. No one's complaining. But it's not easy doing YouTube. And there isn't a lot of like there's no mentor to help you out. I was going to say there's no resources, but that's not true. There's actually tremendous resources. But it's sort of incumbent upon you to find out what you don't know and remedy it. Um, I'll give you a for instance. It's very technical, okay? But I think it'll be interesting to you guys. So if you want to put a piece of music with a voiceover, and especially my voice, because my voiceover is like the Mont Blanc 146 is one of the most expressive pens. So it's not me being like, hey, this pen is awesome. It's more that kind of measured. And I'm trying to make sure that I don't mispronounce anything because I don't know if you noticed, but I have a slight speech impediment, but I do okay. But I'm being very careful. I'm speaking in my low, like, okay, this pen is really cool. Maybe I'm not that low, but okay. So vocal track here, music here. You can put a channel EQ on each of them. You can see where the frequencies overlap, right? So say you have Beethoven's Ninth and it's doing the, dun, 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 and you want to be able to speak over that. You can drag out the frequencies where your voice is from Beethoven. It still sounds like Beethoven. And then your voice has those frequencies and it works coherently. They mix because they're not canceling each other out in the frequencies. And that's the kind of thing I can now do in Final Cut Pro. And it's what makes it so cool. And it's such a good tool to this channel. You'll see that on Thursday because I'm using all sorts of different music. It's got a bit of like a Vicky Cristina Barcelona vibe. Are you guys familiar with that? I recently rewatched it with my wife. It's a fantastic movie. I'm not going to say anything about Woody Allen though, but it's a great movie. But the soundtrack is brilliant, and some of it is influenced by that. There's a piece of music that sounds like Ennio Morricone. It's so cool. Had to put it in there. You guys are going to love this new video. It's so entertaining. Sextus Pompeius. It's a bit before the time of fountain pens, but one of the areas of study that I'm particularly fascinated is in ancient Greek and Roman handwriting. Not much survives, but it is so interesting. It is interesting. I've seen some of it in Bath. There's all the little tablets that people wrote curses and wishes on and threw into the well. Those are pretty neat. Alfredo Franco says the Morgan Library had a show of Hemingway's manuscript some years back. It was amazing. Sadly, no catalog. That is a shame. I'm going to New York soon. We're planning a trip. So I have some YouTube business down there. And maybe I can meet some of you guys. It would be fun. Sea Line. I'm a bit late, but I think some of your affectations can be a little eyebrow raising at first sight. Passion for the subject and your sincerity quickly grows through. Thank you. I appreciate that. Although, what affectation? I think sincerity is what draws the line between pretentious and distasteful aspect and pretentious and aspirational for self-improvement. I agree, C-Line, because pretentiousness, you have to know someone's motivation to know they're pretentious. Now, there are times when someone betrays their motivations, but that's a tough call. For most people, you don't know what's going on behind the facade. And if someone's aspirational, and even if they fail at it and something comes across, but I think who was it? It was Francis Ford Coppola that said the worst thing you can do is to make a pretentious film. I disagree. Francis Ford Coppola, with all due respect, is wrong about that. Of course, he was talking about Apocalypse Now. He was afraid that Apocalypse Now was a pretentious film. And he famously said that the worst thing a director can do is make a pretentious film. It's not true. The worst thing that a director can do is to make a boring film. It's the boring that's insufferable. The Room is a pretentious movie We know the motivations behind it. Tommy Wiseau is a pretentious chap. He made this movie. It's not boring. It's interesting. It's ridiculous, and it's awesome. So the worst you can be is boring. I watched a movie the other night. My wife and I, we like to watch anything. We watched this movie called Nurse 3D. It is crazy. I can't recommend it, but it wasn't boring. It was actually kind of good, and I thought they were going for a theme, but then it just had this grand Guggenheim ending. It just threw things off entirely. But up until that point, I thought it was going somewhere. So don't be boring. I think a lot of my competition on YouTube is kind of boring. I hate to be critical, but I'm not going to say names, but I'll never bore you guys. I promise. I might do some pretty over the top things, but I won't bore you. So Match Point is a good film, Avec. Very good. Well, so we have a lot of exciting things coming up, guys. A lot of really good things. You know what? I think while we're on the subject of movies, I'm going to say a couple other shocking things. All right. You ready for this? I think most of Quentin Tarantino's movies are garbage. I really do. But I don't think they're boring. And I think that's where he does well. But I feel like he's a talent that was squandered. I think his first 3 movies showed so much promise. And I think after that, they just fell off. I'm not saying I didn't like some of them. Like, I Kill Bill and Glorious Bastards. But I don't think they're particularly good. I think they're just curiosities. But they're not boring. They're not boring. So I appreciate that. And some of my favorite movies are like Big Trouble in Little China. Have you ever seen that? I love Big Trouble in Little China. It's awesome. How about have you ever seen The 5 Deadly Venoms? That is such a great film. So I like bad films sometimes. But my favorite movie of all time is probably The Third Man. It has Orson Welles in it. It looks like it was directed, but it wasn't directed by him. It was directed by Carol Reed. But amazing movie. Joseph Cotten, heartbreaking film. So good. Avec Poise says, I don't watch your competitors. Your channel covers pens in such a satisfying way. I don't feel the need to view elsewhere. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with, watching other people as long as you watch me first, I mean, I went because people kept referencing people and I didn't know who they were. And I felt like as a pen guy on YouTube, I probably should know who people are. Now I know who Goulet is, and I know Jet Pens, because you guys, I mean, do you watch Jet Pens? I mean, I watched a Jet Pen video tonight, and they show this Japanese stationery. I'm right on their site buying it. They have such fun, charming things. They have stamps that transfer. You put the stamp on paper and you rub it, and it looks like a watercolor drawing. Like, I'm going to buy that. I think it's made by Midori. I'm going to buy that right as soon as I get off of this live. That's it. So, but some of these other names, you guys know them better than I. I started to watch them, and I was like, I mean, a couple of them just have like negative space where there's nothing and they're talking, and then a hand comes up with a pen, and then that's all you get is a hand and a pen. And I'm like, wow, I wish I could do that. Like, you have like 40,000 followers and you have a hand and a pen, and you just read what's on the website if you were going to buy the pen. I don't get it, but I'm going to shut up because I don't want to sound like I'm picking on other channels. Do I have the Criterion channel? I do not. I should. I'm just tired of paying for streaming services. But I do have HBO Max, so that's something. I'm glad you guys like this channel. I really do. I just really want to I really want to make interesting, entertaining, compelling videos. And I want, when they're over, to you guys to have kind of a lingering sense of something, like that you've experienced something a little bit more profound than just hands on a screen telling you how long a pen is. I think from the small piece, you can project into anything and everything. And I think it all has importance, that these things have resonance. We chose to write. First off, we chose to write by hand. That's one choice. Then in doing that, we decided to select instruments that give us pleasure while we write, that delight our eye, that delight our senses. Sometimes the ink can smell a certain way. The nib glides on this bed of ink. It lubricates it as it slides across the page, and you're guiding it almost like some kind of an ice skating routine with the nib just troweling that ink long as you make your print or your cursive letters or your copperplate or whatever it is expressing yourself. We chose to do that. So at the point you do that, you are now entering this world where there are so many different variables and so many different possibilities that it seems sad to just restrict it to very narrow choices or narrow means of expression. Pen should be incorporated into your lives. Your lives should be romantic. Your lives should be big. They should be bold. They should be interesting. Sometimes you should fail spectacularly, but in great ways where we all look and say, look, good job. You didn't make it, but next time you're going to strive. You're going to reach farther, and you're going to reach that green light at the end of Daisy's dock. That's what I'm trying to do. You must think I'm some kind of mad lad, but that's okay. Personally, your most compelling videos for me are when you have chats about your reasons, goals, and experiences in journaling. C-Line, I need to do more journaling videos. I am overdue for one because I do look at what I post, obviously, and I know what I have in the queue. I do try to talk more about journaling during my lives like I have tonight. If you miss that, go back and watch the playback because I'm going to leave this up, even though I'm tempted to edit out some of what I said, but I'm going to leave it up. Because I'm transparent. I want to be honest. JB, have I ever had a passion for cars? No, cars are the one thing I don't. I'll tell you why in a minute. I don't like what cars have done to American life. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I love places that have no cars. It's not a coincidence that Venice is one of my favorite cities and that there's no cars there, or that I love the coast of Cornwall where cars are few. I like quiet, contemplative spaces. I have spent my life, luckily, I have a dear friend who lives in Matera, and the old part of Matera has no cars, even though in the James Bond film, they got a car up there. Well, you can get up there. That's by the Duomo. So you can go to church. But the rest of the town is walkable. And the new town has cars. But the old part is where you want to stay because you can walk around and not get run over. So cars, I do like my Jeep. My wife has a beautiful Wrangler. You're going to see it in Thursday's video. There is a Wrangler featured in the video. My wife's actually. But I drive it on the weekends. But cars, for most people, they can't afford them, and they've become these status symbols. And I think it's great if you're maybe out in Arizona in an open road and you have a convertible. Or I once drove Pacific Coast Highway from San Francisco down to Long Beach, California in a convertible. It was a beautiful experience. But driving in an American Eastern city, not good. Not good. So let me see. JB says, I understand and agree, seeing the lens that Netherlands, for example, takes to enable and promote other transportation. I do ever enjoy driving. Make the best of crappy design choice. Yeah, I agree. And I wouldn't want to see people saddled with car payments either. Yeah, I'd love to see more walkable cities. I really would. Ravello is another carless spot. That's beautiful. Yeah. Venice is amazing. Celia TH is talking about Venice. If you haven't been to Venice, plan a trip to Venice, but take my advice, stay away from Venice between May and September. Go October, November, you might get some Aqua Alta. That goes into December. January can be cold, but it's empty and it's very romantic. February is Carnivale. It's crazy. You don't want to be there then. March is really good. April's really good. But May is like all the school trips and all the bloody cruise ships, which I abhor cruise ships. So that's my advice. But see Venice. Matt Swanson says, I'd like to see a Hemingway signature pen. A Hemingway Jones signature pen or an Ernest Hemingway signature pen? Because there's been plenty of those. Mont Blanc's done one. Monte Galapa does one. Trying to think who else does one. But I wouldn't mind having my own signature pen. I don't know if I could get Esterbrook maybe to do it. I got to get a little more popular than I am. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Jones signature. That could happen, right? That could definitely happen. Hemingway Jones. Thank you so much, guys. You're very kind. You know, you're a great group of people. I've really enjoyed this. Part of what keeps me motivated is you. There were times when I felt like I was putting these videos out into the void and no one was answering. I felt like that Voyager 2 satellite that just escaped the solar system and was sending signals back and no one was listening. No one could hear them. No one could answer. I was out past the Kuiper Belt, and I was falling deeper and deeper into the void. But then you guys started to assemble, and now I just feel like we have a really good group of us, really great conversations. We're all very generous with our knowledge, and I think we're all sharing and enjoying really good stuff. So my signature pen would have a very flexy nib. Maybe I'm giving up flexy nibs. I don't know. We'll see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're at the end tonight because my voice is about to give out and because I'm starting to ramble, and I don't want this to be too tedious on the playback. But we will meet again. But I want you all to know that Thursday at noon is my next video. I think you'll all enjoy it. It is very, very entertaining. It is a review of this pen. All my thoughts, feelings, in one incredibly kind of wacky, over the top video. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's very, very entertaining. So we will meet again very soon. So I will see you further up the road, guys. All of you, take care. And Wolverine, get better, brother. We're all pulling for you. Take care now.